Hello everyone. This shall be the first episode of the Association of the Outcast Businessmen. Currently, I'm the only businessman here who's been outcasted from society. But that will change, hopefully, if I get other people on here. But, anyways, I think it would only be proper if I said my name. But, I'm gonna say it for Google Translate, if you just give me one good second.
Antonio Scalvizio Mavi.
If you want to translate that, go ahead. You're only gonna find like the fucking basic translation. Ha 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 ha. Fucking hell. Alright, anyways, let's get on to the real shit. So. Sorry if I'm fucking just acting like a dumbass. First time doing one of these. So. Oh shit. Pacariza. Well, raw. Well, what I'll be reading from is the DMT Spear Molecule. Now, I'm probably not going to be reading this all on a podcast. Well, not at least in one go. But I will be reading segments of it, and if anybody wants me to, I'll read certain parts of it. You know, different chapters and shit for you. But what I'll be starting on today is, one second, let me just get it up. I just had it. Yes. We'll be going into part 4 of the DMT Spear Molecule. Yeah, I know it sounds a bit random, but we'll be going on to death and dying, because I think that's a very interesting topic. Because everyone's scared of death. No one's not scared of death. It's impossible not to be, man. It's like, fucking hell. If my face goes dark randomly because my screen goes off, I have a screensaver, so I'll just be wiggling the mouse about every now and again. Alright. Well, I'll get ready. I'm gonna smoke this, and then I'll get on to it. So, just hold on a second, and I'll be right back. Peace. Alright, hello everyone. I just had a bit, and now I shall be reading. This is part 15. Actually, sorry, one second. Death and Dying, yeah. This is page fucking 220. So if you have this book, read along with me. Or just open it and just listen to my voice. If you're a lazy fuck. I wouldn't blame you, I would do the exact same thing. I cannot be bothered to read. Doesn't look like I'm a man of education. Okay. Since Raymond Moody published Life After Life in 1975, and Keithan Ring, sorry, I'm a bit dyslexic, so if I mispronounce something or stutter, I also have a mild stutter. I've had speech therapy over the course of my life, and it has helped, but you know, habits die hard. But hopefully it's not that noticeable. Hopefully you're just wondering why this dumbass American is even bothered to read a book. It's just because everything else right now, it's so boring. This coronavirus shit, it's fucking out, it's predictable. All these politics, it's like, blah blah blah, I know what's gonna happen, US will take all that, blah blah blah. It's just stupid, but you know what you gonna do. US gonna do this, China gonna do this, Russia gonna do that, UK gonna be a bitch. France and Germany gonna cuck over everyone. So you know, who knows what's gonna happen in the world right now. Maybe the fucking, as I publish this tomorrow, there's no such thing as the United States or the fucking United Kingdom. And my face is going dark again because I'm looking at my loading screen. 1 second, boys. Okay. So after King, Fucking hell, I just said it. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna be trailing off. I'm gonna continue on with this. That's probably gonna be the last fucking ongoing rant, hopefully, for at least the bottom of this page. I will promise you, I will get to 221 before I start ranting again. Catherine Ring, Life After Death. Life at Death. Oh god. In 1980. The expression, near-death experience, has been a part of our vocabulary. These highly unusual altered states of consciousness occur when somebody faces life-threatening circumstances, such as when a rock climber falls off a cliff. They may also occur when the body actually begins to die, such as after a massive heart attack or when drowning. The border outline of a near-death experience, NDE, includes the sensation of rapid travel through a tunnel, sometimes accompanied by voices, songs, or music. There is a sense of others, living or dead relatives, friends, and family members. These begin to also take the form of spirits, angels, or other helpers. The realization may come that one really is dead. Many experience feeling great peace and calm. Others reported terrifying image and emotions. Some experience a life review, the organized and rapid recollection of personal memories, ending at this present moment. Well, that is really interesting, because I have taken the first 3 letters before. I took 1 gram right up the nose, and did I experience that? I thought I was gonna die. Fucking hell. Such fear just overcomes you. It's mad. But I would say that because I was very inexperienced and I didn't know what I was doing, and also I didn't do it in a right manner. I was on with friends on the phones, and it was constantly just getting me back out of reality, or getting me in touch with reality. But jeez, it was a great personal experience, nonetheless. Sorry. Some feel commanded to return to life because it is not yet time for them to die. I felt that too. I was like, I could fucking pass on right now, but I don't want to. There's so much I need to do. There's so much I hadn't done. And it's a crazy feeling. It's one of urgency and fear. That's the best way I can describe it. But it was realer than real. That's how people can experience, how you can really describe it. It was one of the realest. It was the time when I thought I was about to die from a drug overdose. It was the realest that I ever felt. There's no such way I could be the person I am today without having that experience, that level of fear. Before this, I was like, oh, I don't really care about my life. I don't got nothing going on. I fucking can off myself and I wouldn't feel anything. I didn't have that fear of death. I was very pessimistic, narcissistic, and just anthropic. And what is it? Pessimism. Yeah. And that was nihilism. It's never good to be nihilistic, trust me. The world has meaning, even if it's a slightly dark one. But you can't have dark without the light, and you can't light. And you can't have life without death. But there's always got to be a balance, because the one did not exist, and how could the other? The NDE may climax with an emerging into an indescribable, loving, and powerful white light that emits from the divine, holy, and sacred. This leads to a mystical or spiritual experience in which time and space loses all meaning. That is true. Well, from my experience. Fucking hell, I was going to mad dimensions. I thought I was right at my door, and then I, lay down, I'm on my bed, like a deathbed. And everything was closing in, I was fucking traveling for some, the colors were red and yellow. Like red, yellow, gold, this shit was amazing. But it was fucking scary. I wonder how many people are actually gonna go through all this. I'll very commend you. I'll commend you if you do. That would be very nice and pleasing to the ego. Man, I'm gonna probably stop doing that voice. It's just cringe. Okay. Those who undergo an NDE feel embraced by something much greater than themselves, or anything they previously could have imagined, the source of all existence. There is a certainty that consciousness exists after death. Those who reach the mystical level of NDE emerge with a greater apprehension for life, less fear for death, less fear of death, yeah. Well, fear of kind of interchangeable at this situation, but I'm not gonna fucking butcher the words any more than my mispronunciation. I will repeat them so you hear exactly what's on the fucking page. Sorry, God. Just those who reach the mystical level of NDE emerge with a greater apprehension for life, less fear of death, a reorientation of their priorities to less material and more spiritual pursuits. That is very true. Very true. Every time I'm saying this, I'm going to just refer back to the three main letters on this book and that experience. That's mine. The sense of reality of what near-death experience see and feel is undeniably certain. It's common to hear the expression like it was more real than real. It is difficult for those coming back from an NDE. My God, am I just saying EDE? EDE? Or NDE? Fucking no. Forgive me if I fucking muddle up the letters. I'm speaking fast. Got my tongue. Don't worry, I had lemon tea, that's why my tongue is yellow and my teeth. Definitely not because I'm not just an unhygienic fuck. Definitely not, definitely not. It is difficult for those coming back from the NDE to describe it. They often say it is beyond language. Since one of these theories, motivating my DMT research, hello everybody. I'm probably just going to be putting memes when I need to cut out, so yeah. There's going to be a big time to script, well, not big, but just small jumps in time. The biggest was the first one. So yeah, also I turned on the light and I stopped it because somebody came in through the room and they were getting some shit, so I just didn't want, some fucking plates and shit just being clattered around. Just noise being made in the background that I can pick up and just make it not sound nice. You probably heard it for a little bit before I cut, but it'll probably be okay. So anyways, since one of the theories motivating my DMT research was the belief that the spirit molecule is released by the pineal gland when dead, will die, or nearly die, I listened carefully for these types of experience. If outside administration DMT replicates, you can tell I'm dyslexic. Fucking hell, replicates. Oh my god, I just lost it. Replicates features of NDE. It would strengthen my hypothesis that endogenous DMT meditation metates naturally occurring NDEs. Why am I so dyslexic? I shouldn't have that joint up so chummed. Ugh. Fucking hell. Well, I didn't lose it this time. It would strengthen my hypothesis. Fucking hell. I did lose it. I read the wrong thing. However, in only 2 research subjects, Willow and Carlos did themes of death and nearly dying dominated the sessions. Dominated the sessions, yeah. Therefore, based upon what we actually saw during our research, I think this is now an original I now think this original expectation was naive. And he put 2 dotted I's. I don't know how to pronounce that. Does it seem like I did good in English? Yeah. The only reason why I'm reading a book is because I am a working boy. The problem with anticipating frequent NDEs in our volunteers concerns sets and settings. Clearly, many of our research subjects experience a radical and complete separation from consciousness from their bodies. For most of us, this would make us feel as if we died. However, many of our recruits already undergo this type of dissociation in their previous psychedelic experiences. They knew they knew when it happened at the research center. They realized they weren't dying or near death, and therefore they could watch the unfolding effects with far greater balance and pose. They did not panic, but they kept alert and focused. On observing and remembering what was going on, within a minute, the DMT started wearing off. They had reset and they had re-entered their bodies. Certainly, if out-of-body state lasted so much longer than a minute, and if we are actually were making efforts to resuscitate them, a more classic NDE might have been developed. However, our volunteers were going into experience probably only inexperienced and unprepared individuals who would have interpreted it as death or near death. This is page 222, by the way. Oh, man. Let me pull myself in closer. Point the camera a tiny bit down. Yeah. There. God damn it. Yeah. Sorry about this. Dude, I hope that didn't sound too horrible. The fucking mics in the webcam, as I said earlier. As I hope I said earlier. Let's first proceed to several volunteer sessions that make a passing reference to death themes. In them, they almost casually refer to death-like nature of the high-dose DMT experience. Then we look more carefully at Willow's and Carl's sessions, in which death and near-death themes took center stage. Ella's high-dose DMT session partook of many elements of the spiritual enlightenment experience. We will hear about them in the next chapter. For now, however, I will share a comment she included in a letter she sent to me a year after finishing her DMT study. Yeah. I'm like Ozzy Osbourne, fucking sticking out my tongue. Well, who sticks out their tongues a lot? Slags? Okay, I'm a slag. I'm not like Ozzy Osbourne. Well, I might be like him in the fact that, fucking, I take too much, you know. I can just survive it. Ella's yeah. Sorry, this is a letter. More than once, the DMT sessions gave me the gift of truly subjectively knowing the phenomena described in Introductions to the Dead. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, even greater is the gift of knowing what I have practiced dying and returning. Ella's comments were not the only time we heard reference to the Tibetan Book of the Dead. In the centuries-old text, Tibetan Buddhist practitioners have charted out various Bardo states, and one enters along the path from dying to rebirth. Into one's next life form, Bardo is sometimes defined as an intermediary state. Sorry. I'm gonna say sorry a lot every time I fucking fuck up one of these, aren't I? Good. Should be polite. And I said I was gonna stop doing that voice. Goddamn. That is between life, death, and rebirth. Many descriptions of the Bardos echoes unearthly reports gathered from those who have had an NDE. Nice. For Tibet, now they're subjugated by communist fucks. And there goes any chance I had of getting a communist user base. Or a Chinese user base, in fact. That's like 1 billion people who will never hear me. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? I don't know. Hopefully one day I'll fucking gain some prestige, I guess. But I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking for spiritual peace. Because this is all temporary. Materialistic things are good, and being in a lower state of consciousness is good because you have to survive, but you gotta understand, fucking wealth can be taken easily. Businesses, jobs, careers, love, all that. But one certainty is we'll all fucking die. And you just gotta embrace that certainty. You have to embrace the absurd of reality, absurdness of it all, even if it doesn't make sense. It's pure chaos. You just gotta embrace it. And embracing that chaos is embracing death, not imminent. Sometimes when I'm thinking about something, I'm just chilling, I have that overcoming fear. The fear that, well, this is all temporary. And then I will eventually just, in a blink of an eye, see myself as an old man, shriveled up and alone. That will be fine. That will mean I'm just closer to the end of this life and on to the next. Maybe that will bring me peace. I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to stay. If this is all true, then what the hell do I got to lose? Anyways, enough about what's going on inside my fucking head. Let's learn about what's going inside in this book. Yeah. Sheen, whose spiritually enlightened experience were also examined closely in the next chapter, made this remark on one of the days he helped us develop the dosage schedule for the tolerance study. It's so far out, so weird, so out of control. You have to learn something, I think. I've learned what it's like to die and to be completely helpless in the thorns of something. That's been helpful. I completely I understand that. That's what I'm just going to say. I understand that. L, who we met in chapter 12. If you want me to read chapter 12, or go from the beginning and actually go in chronological order, I'd be more than happy to do so. Let's say 5 likes? Wow. I'm already assuming fucking 5 people would watch this. I have big hopes, don't I? Alright. Yeah. Wrote to us after his first high dose of DMT. Stunned. I felt myself holding back. I relaxed and the environment began to change noticeably. I knew I was going through the first Bordeaux of death that I had been many times before, and it was okay. This is just like the last time, I thought. Enough continuity was waking my conscience. Yeah, waking my consciousness. Ugh. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to fucking breathe. Continuity, yeah, was waking consciousness gave me the thought next. But this was my first time crossing over. I continued. I hadn't broken out the last time. I had concluded I had broken out of space and time, and either was experiencing my normal pattern of dying, or was connected to a time in the future when once again I will know this is the time I was in. Back then, now. Some months later, in another study, Bill said, I no longer fear death. It's like you're there 1 minute, and then you're somewhere else. And that's how it is. So I think I had that effect. These experiments are helping me in reading the Tibetan book of Living and Dying. I know what it's like to be totally free. Nice words. Joseph. 39-year-old Italian Native American businessman. Oh, he's just like me. Well, more fucking Irish and Polish, but I still have some Italian. You wouldn't tell by my skin. Trust me. Also noted how death-like the DMT experience was. I think high dosage is like a death trauma. It knocks you out of your body. I could have tolerated death or some major physical leaping out of this plane type experience under DMT. This would be a good drug for people in a hospice program or terminally ill to have some equanimity with. Fucking hell. I could probably read, but it's fucking just split, so my brain's just like. You know when Homer Simpson just says something really retarded and his brain just fucking walks out on him? Yeah, that's like what my brain did. Unlike these other research subjects, death and near-death themes dominated in Willow's and Carl's high-dose journeys with the spirit molecule. Let's now return to their story. Willow was 39 years old when she joined the DMT project. She was married and lived in a semi-rural. Fucking hell, they usually put like a dash between. I was like, what the fuck is that? Semi-rural part of the country. She was a medical social worker who treated drug-abusing professionals. She saw the irony in her own occupation in our study and appreciated our overriding concern with the confidentiality and the anonymity. We'll use psychedelic drugs 3 or 4 times a year and had taken them 30 times in total. She volunteered for DMT project due to her curiosity and the opportunity to experience deeper and higher states of consciousness, to gain insight into her own functioning. Willow's low non-blind dose produced stronger than average effects. I have never seen so many visuals. And we warned her about tomorrow's system, saying it's kind of like falling off a cliff. I like to think of myself as daring, jumping off a cliff. Next morning, we got right down to business, spending very little time catching up. No, I hope you're not bored with my just fucking head dipping constantly down. Well, actually, 1 second. Give myself a fucking pillow so I can sit up more right. Nice. Okay, we are also on page 224. Yeah, 224, and we're halfway down. Right about here. Yeah, the next morning we got right down to business, spending very little time catching up or chatting. It was not even 8 a.m. by the time I finished administrating the DMT to Willow. Her body made a small jerk. Even though, even though a jet flew overhead at 3 minutes, the room in the ward had taken into on the deep, solid science that ever so often blessed our high-dose DMT sessions. Will lay perfectly still for the next 25 minutes. Then I started to get restless and gently asked her how she was doing. Good. It's in a very enchanting place. Almost don't want to leave it. Transitions are completion. How am I? Who am I? First, I saw a tunnel, or a channel of light off to the right. I had turned to go to it. Then the whole process repeated on itself. It was intentionally that way. It was as if I had a source. Further away. It got bigger, farther away. Like a funnel, it was bright and pulsating. There was a sound like music. Like a score, but like there was a sound like music, like a score, but unfamiliar to me, sporting the emotional tone of the events and drawing me in. Drawing me in. I was very small. It was very large. There were large beings in the tunnels. On the right side, next to me, I had a sense of great speed. Everything was unimportant relative to this. Things were flashing by, as if from a different perspective. It was so much more real than life. The left and right tunnels joined in front of me. There were gremlins, small, faces mostly. They had wings, tails, and stuff. I paid them little attention. The larger beings were there to sustain and support me. That was their realm. A sort of good and evil thing. The gremlins versus the tall beings. The tall beings were loving, smiling, and sincere. Something rushed through me, out of me. I remember thinking at some point, here comes the separation. I felt my body only when I swallowed or breathed. I was released. And that wasn't a physical feeling, as much as a way of setting ripples through the experience. I felt strongly. This is dying, and this is okay. I had heard the bright light tunnel, but I didn't expect it to be the way it was here today. I thought it would be primally in front of me, but this took turns on both sides, and then joined in front. Nor was it as bright. I thought it might be. I'm amazed DMT is in the body. It's there for a reason. It's there for dying today. I had a sense of dying, letting go, separating, after the beings in the tunnel helped me along. How do you feel about returning, being back in your body? It's okay for now. See, you sound wistful. The other side is very, very different. There's no words, no body, no words, bodies, or sounds there to limit things. I first saw deep space with stars. I first saw deep space, white with stars. Then there was this multi-dimensional experience starting. It was alive. It was alive. It was the aliveness that I heard. My body was trying to say, "Remember the body," as I was going into that place. It wasn't a desperate cry, but an attempt to keep it real. Make the experience real from the point of view of the senses. The body wanted me back. I thought I could see the light down below, the world's light. It was like a little was lifted in simultaneously alternate reality. A few months later, we experienced another high dose of DMT in the menstrual phase study. As she stirred, she began speaking. It's like a cosmic joke. If we all knew what was waiting for us, we all kill ourselves. That's why we stay in this one for so long. To figure out that. That's also why it's so hard to remember the intimacy of it. I've been reading books about near-death experience, Saved by the Light and Embraced by the Light. They really do a good job at describing the DMT state. I'm reading them in such a familiar manner. And reading them in such a familiar manner. Fucking hell. Trying my best to keep my head up here, but it's like, no, why would you want people to see your fucking face? No, you don't want that. You don't want that image. Sorry if that makes unbearable noise. I cannot really hear it from here because my loud ass is constantly talking. Okay. Right. Oh wait, yeah. Sorry, I'm on page 226. I'm reading them in such a familiar manner. Everyone should try a high dose of DMT once. I don't know if the beginnings today were saying try death once or try life once. That place is so full and complete that the idea of this place is so try and as complete as possible. That when I come back into my body, it was so heavy and so confining. Also, time here is so strange. Eternity is an attribute of the place. It would have to be. Well, it's never a good idea to call anyone's experience on DMT classic. I think it's not too far afield to use the term in describing Wheel's near-death experience. Her consciousness separated from her body. She moved rapidly through a tunnel or tunnels towards a warm, loving, all-knowing white light. Beings helped her on the way, and some even fronted to drag her down. Beautiful music accompanied her on early stages of the journey. Time and space lost all meaning. She was tempted not to return, but realized she would needed to share the incredible information she had received with this world. There were spiritual and mystical overtones to her joining and basking in the white light. Why not black? Why not Mexican? Why not trans? That's a cheap joke, but it is funny. I am a comedian at heart, after all. How can you not tell? Isn't this the face of a joker? Her consciousness separated from her body. Beings helped her. Beautiful music accompanying her ray. Yeah, there were spiritual, mystical undertones to her joining with and basking in the white light. Will's dawning awareness of a light down below, the world's light, also reminds us of one thing of the last Bardos. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead. This is the stage in which the soul starts looking for a new body in which to reincarnate. Sees the lights of the world, and it starts to descend. Her comment about everyone committing suicide if they knew how great the afterlife points to another similarity to the Will's experiences and those of naturally occurring EDs and DEs. Yes, I said it right. That is, those who have had an NDE do not rush off to suicide. Rather, they reside in the knowledge that there is life after death, and the transition loses its sting. Thus, they are able to live life more fully. I would say that's very true. Because I was honestly so close to just fucking offing myself. Somebody in my family has offed myself. And they might have been the single parent that raised me for 16-ish years or something like that. It's been a long time, but isn't this the face of a man who hasn't had any trouble in his life? I think it is. I am white privilege all the way to the max. Trust me. White privilege all the way to the max. I wonder if anyone will take that seriously. Okay. Comment about everyone committing suicide enough, and those naturally occurring. Thus, they are able to live life more fully, because the fear of death that drives so many to distract is so much less. I was interested to hear that she found reading popular books describing the near-death experience to be like reviewing her own DMT sessions. I need a little more validation to believe we are on the right track in relating high levels of DMT to NDE. Carlos was a challenge. One second. What the fuck was that? Oh, just something mocking journalists. This bullshit. Carlos was a challenge. Exuberant, outspoken, and playfully confrontational. I agree. That's the way you gotta be, mate. You gotta be confrontational. Carlos is a Chad. We should all strive to be like Carlos. He was 44 years old when he had joined the DMT research. He hailed from Hispanic and Northern Mexican Indian families, had been married for nearly 20 years, had 2 grown children. Carlos was also a full-time software programmer, and had attended the University of New Mexico for several years. He was also a practitioner of urban shamanism. Oh yeah, this guy is just a Chad, just outright. There's even before this, he's just pure Chad. So just if he just sounds like the person you really want to fuck or really want to be or both, just understand I feel the same way. Yeah, he was a practitioner of urban shamanism. In this capacity, he had led a group in which chanting, visualization, and his teachings proved his students with a wide array of alternate states of consciousness. He had his feet in several worlds at once. Carlos was well reversed in many mind-altering substances. He had taken psychedelics over 100 times, Chad, and described their effects as complete strangers. He had recently also had used seeds of Dermata strammonum, or Jimson weed, a highly toxic and dangerous plant that induces delirium and at times terrifying breaks with reality. There is not much difference between the psychedelic and lethal dose of these seeds. Carlos was not expecting much from white man's medicine. This set up a curious dinoxy within me. On one hand, I wanted to show him who's got the better drugs. Respect. Not the most noble reaction, but true. How is not? The most noble thing you could do is be perfect in your craft. And if you know how to make drugs, you've got to make that shit fucking perfection. This man has nothing to be ashamed about. So, yeah, one second. It's right here. Not the most noble reaction, but true. On the other hand, I was concerned that his scoffing at DMT was not wise, and that he might be unpleasantly surprised by the intensity of its facts. Maybe his inner cavalier attitude hid his deeper fears. So basically, he's just saying, what if this guy's just putting up a front and he's fucking, he's kind of pissing himself. Well, not pissing himself, he's just hiding his, insecurities or some shit. This morning, with his non-blinding logos, we found Carl sitting in the rocking chair I used. He had arrived almost 2 hours early. He was leaving nothing to chance, and was not so subtly challenged my seat of authority. Fair enough, Carlos. White man's medicine. I'll give you that. This is fucking like 19. Short-term ass bitch.
I just wanted to follow the cereal.
Fat, you just ate. Jesus Christ. Yeah, 1 second. Fucking hell. Yeah. Hello, welcome back again. That was my brother coming in to get more food like the fat ass he is. I'm in my living room because I had a laptop, but that thing broke when that guy got into a hissy fit. Just broke it. So I'm kind of stuck with this. Love him lots. Still fucking pissed off about that though. But anyways, on to this. Okay, yeah. Hopefully you heard all that. Okay, I'll just read from the top. Not the top of the page, just the top of this part. The morning of his non-blind low dose, we found Carl sitting in the rocking chair I used. He had arrived almost 2 hours earlier. He was leaving nothing to chance, and was absolutely not so subtle about challenging my seat of authority. Air quotes. Quotations. This will be a trip around the block to the local convenience store rather than a trip to someplace else, he opened. Before we began, he wanted to bless the DMT to 4 directions. To the 4 directions. And for the good of the community, this was a traditional shamanistic preparation of a mind-altering substance. His benedicts were simple but profound. They successfully established a feeling of deeper reverence for the work than was usual the case. The low-dose experience that morning seemed relatively mild, that is, until he began shaking at 15 minutes after the injection. First were fine tremors, but quickly progressed into rather pronounced whole-body shake. I hate this part. My own body, the energy starts to shake. It's like that after any spiritual trip. It's like an aftershock. Every time I do any kind of psychoactive drug, I shake for a while. Do other people do that? An unexpected vulnerability. I answer carefully, seeing an opening to be more honest and deeper. Seeing an opening to a more honest and deeper relationship. Sometimes, especially after a high dose, not usually after the low dose. I wonder if it's fear. Quite uncomfortable. Shaking, looking someone frightened. Don't worry, this is nothing. It doesn't matter if it's a big dose or a little. It dose of anything. All shaped because of the post-traumatic effects. His shivering started going away while he filled out the questionnaire. He felt fine after completing it, ate a light snack, and left for the day. Later, Laura and I talked about Carl's reaction to his little dose of DMT. While he described the effects as meaningful, his body had a rather different reaction to it. I thought it best to bend the rules a little and give him a 0.2 mg over kilogram before jumping to 0.4. When I told him, Carl's offered no resistance to the plan. You guys know best. This foresight seemed. Oh yeah. So how Carlos, I think, the big dose, right? What they give them, they inject it into them. They didn't huff it like me. This is like pure shit. I got some impure orange shit that looked like Cheeto dust, but it was still good. Did the job. But the hit, yeah, like the activation for a big dose, 0.4 grams. So I did my first time, 2.5 times the high dose here, up the nose. Man, I'm incriminating myself, aren't I? No, don't worry. It wasn't deep. Don't worry. It was only Cheeto dust. This foresight seemed warranted as I entered the room the next week. Carlos was shaking badly in response to the ward nurse having failed 3 times to start up his IV line. I have offhanded manner that we were beginning to recognize this had started in the 1970s when this, yeah. Now, offhand manner, we were beginning to recognize, he said. This started in the 1970s when I went into a church once. I started leaning towards the more concerned of his welfare than our white man's DMT wouldn't be enough. I wondered, this will push you. It will give you an idea that twice this amount might be like, it is a psychedelic. It's not psycho, it's fucking no O there. This is a psychedelic effect. Well, yeah, it's a psychedelic dose. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to have some more psychedelic effect. The injection went smoothly. At 12 minutes, he laughed loudly and exclaimed, "Oh boy, there is no spiritual value. None. Ask me some questions." Well, what happened? I was wondering, what was this? I was wondering, what was this? Then it came to me. It is the drug. This is the drug. This is what it does. There was too much to process. It was like trying to listen to music that was just loud. I didn't know what was going on. I wonder if I died. I'd been taking many psychedelics. Nothing like this had ever happened. My nervous system was squashed. My spirit was smashed. What do you mean by spirit? It sounds like me you were talking about your self-image, your identity. Well, we could argue about terms. When I think of spirit, it's the unborn and undying. That is which before and after, and doesn't depend on the body. I'm used to the I that is in the body, and I can leave that. It's not dependent on the body. Our conversation seemed to increase his enthusiasm. I saw who I am at a fundamental level. You know, sonically or visually, there is a certain spectrum that one can tune themselves into. One can tune into that one's individual self. That was totally bare, and it was just there. Remember, this is only half of the big dose. That's a frightening thought. It was my turn. Now you're getting it. Did he really want to take twice this amount of DMT? I'd rather he quit now than all of us regret it. How do you feel about double this dose? What is the value? How can this experience help me or mankind or my community? If I had brought back a wonderful truth, that would be great. I laughed and said, well, been talking 20 minutes non-stop about nothing. However, as he finished up rating the scale, he said, I guess I will complete this study. I'll take the 4 point and I'll do the pinopoid study, but I don't think I'll do any more. I think that the shamans in the South America use other plants to fill out and make the DMT more reasonable. Pure DMT seems empty or hollow. Okay, we are on the last free. So I will finish up this chapter before I end this. It's honestly been a really great time, I think. I don't know how my tangents have been. I hope you people have liked them. I know this is going to be really long. It's probably, I don't know, I can get a lot of content out of this. Content. It's not like I'm going to get fucking monetized anytime soon, Jesus. But no, I just want to make more stuff like this. Or just make more shit in general. I know there's barely anyone watching this, but to the few that actually care about this, thanks. That's pretty cool of you. Not gonna lie, pretty cool. And damn, my hair is bad. That's why I'm wearing this. It looks so horrible underneath. It's not like my fucking hairline's up to here or anything, it's just that I haven't showered. So my hair's a bit greasy. I'm gonna shower after this. Okay. The morning of Carl's 0.4 mg over kilogram dose, he was sweating and shaking when I entered the world. He said, my body's fear primarily. It's a body fear primarily. It's stress. There's no chance. This is no chance to build it up. So it's there so fast. With Dharata, you have the fear of death, but you can build up to it gradually. On 0.2 last night, I thought you gave me the wrong drug. That I was poisoned, that I had died. The rest is terrible. I take a substance to leave my body, not to put it under duress. I tried to provide some consolation. This dose will be more, but not equivalent. This dose will be more, but not quantitatively different. He began chanting as I gave him the drug. His chanting abruptly stopped halfway through the flush. He let out a big sigh at 2 minutes, then he resumed chanting more softly, this time at 2 minutes and a half. At 12 minutes, he said, please, remove my eye shades. Laura did so. It was really quite special. I wasn't human for about 3.5 minutes. This dose creates a high level of stress that's unparalleled to the annals of Carl's history. He cleared his throat and said, I've met myself as the creator of the creator of all. I had the realization before, but not to this level. Model. Nah. I'm not rich enough to be a model. Or have the connections. The creator of all. I had that realization before, but not to this level. One of our volunteers likes to say, you can still be an atheist until 0.4. This is true. Fucking hell. Atheism is not a smart idea, like pure blind belief into a single religion. Like, what are you really doing? You're just on the other side of the coin. One and the same. And when you're able to understand that you're one and the same, then you'll gradually be able to combine the both until something unprecedented in human history until it is actually created. Like the internet. Well, I don't think anybody was fucking would ever expect that, given, like, you know, how history is just playing out. I don't think anybody can predict, like, oh yeah, the internet. Like this shit. Huh? Who could predict, like, a company called Windows in America became a global tech conglomerate and just fucking controls a bunch of shit. It's quite mad. Give me a second. Carlos took a deep breath and began telling us what had happened. It was difficult to keep up with his rate of sharing his incredible story. There was the sound of the entire universe, more like a hum. It was persuasive, overwhelming, I thought. Holy moly. How did I get into this? Things weren't right, and they weren't getting more wrong all the time. And they were getting more wrong all the time. Then my ability to perceive as a human began to limp down. There was no more emotions, because emotions only work up to a certain point. I saw a man lying in a hospital bed. He was naked, with a person on either side of him. One female, one male. At first, I didn't know. It didn't look like anybody. It didn't look like anybody I knew. They were the perfect, generic human beings I recognized in context. They were me, you, and Laura. The way of knowing what was totally different from this reality. I didn't know what I was in a study of any kind. There was something wrong with him. He was there to get better. The hospital was a healing center. What was wrong with him was death. The naked person was dead. What killed the person was the stress from the DMT. None of my guardians or protectors made an appearance. They were out of the loop. Deep. It's honestly amazing to hear some of this shit. Well, read. He was healed. More than healed. He was reborn. He got cured from death. Healed from death. And then became a creator of the whole universe. I gradually became more and more solid and moved towards my everyday presence. I watched the universe creation down from a fundamental energy to a vibratory. Fuck, where did it? To a vibratory rate to material things. I realized I was recreating the hospital in the room. As the world gelled more and more, I wanted to see it. I asked to have my eye shades taken off, because I came fascinated with my fingers, like a newborn. I taught classes on how the universe is constructed from your own mind, and here it was happening. My attitude was different when I knew you were my creations. I felt as close to you as my own son and daughter. I would have to say my experience was a classical death/rebirth experience. I had it before, but never in the same way as with DMT. It was spectacular in imagery, texture, and atmosphere. It had the most incredible lighting and effects. Boil it down, it's very, very classic. 0.2 was harrowing. This was way beyond. I knew the boundary of life existed. I never thought I'd be there. I thought at such an early age. It was one of those things that old men talk about, like, once I got there. It's just the wrong place and time. I expect these sorts of things in the mountains with my friends, in a more ceremonial setting. While I was impressed with the features of this session, I also wondered about other reasons why praying Laura me in the hospital environment reversed their balance of power in the room. He no longer needed to fear us or the deity. Nevertheless, there was no point in making. Fuck you, phone. Sorry. Such an interpretation. Carlos certainly would have seen a little merit in it. Instead, I simply dealt with the feelings that came through as he spoke. You were surprised. A true surprise. Carlos did not have the type of near-death experience about which we so often in popular cultural literature. Just heard, yeah. Those case exemplifies the more contrary versions of the NDE. Although Carlos' high dosage did partake of many features that practitioners of shamanism report as an initiation into the more advanced realms of their practice. This is the death rebirth experience. Carlos experienced himself as dead rather than dying. He saw his lifeless body lying on the bed, although not quite the way he left it, as it was wearing all his clothes before the spirit molecule entered his brain. As he was reborn, so was the universe reconstructed. Yeah, so was his universe reconstituted. Reconstituted? Yeah, not reconstructed. Reconstituted. Here again we see a mystical culmination of the near-death experience. He experienced creation in a similar way to Sorrow's first high-dose experience in the last chapter, and Ellis in the next. Vast energy slowing to vibrations. Vast energy slowing to vibration. I'm very sorry I keep on butchering this. I'm trying my best here. Okay. Here we go. Finally resulting in matter. Carlos, feeling like a newborn, marveled at his fingers, the way an infant is fascinated by their newly discovered body. There is a progression from the personal to transpersonal series of experiences. DMT experiences. It's more possible to work through one's own psychological and psychomatic problems with the spirit molecules light and power. Near-death encounters spell what seem to be the end of those concerns by simulating or foretelling what it is like once our individual bodies fall away. Near-death experience seem to have a greatest impact on those who take the next step within the mysterious experience, to the leap to a mystical level of awareness. It's in these realms into which DMT might lead that the volunteers and I believe held the greatest promise for a significant personal transformation. So for significant personal transformation, it is into these fields of DMT site that we now enter. And the next chapter is mystical states. But I'm going to leave that for now. And anyway, I would like to say, if you've actually made it through, or you just skipped right to the end, thanks for watching my new podcast, The Association of... I'm joking. The Association of Outcast Businessmen. Thanks for watching, and hopefully, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.